Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1231, June 21st, 2023. Days are now getting shorter. 95 degrees on this day in 1910 and 39 degrees on this day in 1992. There seems to be, again, a controversy about the show number, which I will get to in a moment. If you want a lake home, you got the old swimming hole with the tire at the end of the rope and the kids go flying off. You want to get rid of the weeds and algae, call Aquaside, a White Bear Lake company that's been keeping swimming areas and lake shores free of weeds and algae for more than 60 years. The products are easy to use. I've used them. They work right away. They do. Aquaside is registered with the EPA and DNR, and the products are available immediately. Don't let weeds overtake your lake or pond this summer. Call Aquaside today. They'll help you identify your weed problem and make sure your place looks great all summer long. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
Hail you! And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Sushi.
Chris, can you get us the opening of the June 18th show? That would have been this week. That would have been
just bear with
Tuesday.
me for a moment.
That would have been Tuesday's show.
Flip Wilson.
Did you save it?
Mayor, the GL podcast count was correct through Tuesday, June 18 at 1328. On the Wednesday, June 19 show, the count was shortened by 100 to 1229.
Ready when you are.
Let's hear it. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Store brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1328, June 18, 2024. Stop. Can you go back, just randomly go back and pick the opening of anything before June 18th?
Sure.
This is a fun game.
How about Monday?
No, go back a week or two if you can.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about I
just to make sure I was still in the 13th.
How about a week prior?
That'd be good.
Okay. Yep.
Wasn't it nice last week when we were done at 12:30 every day?
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1323. We're in the threes. I'm wrong. The emailer mark is correct. Today is 1331.
Boy,
well, wait a minute.
You'd think we'd keep better track of that since we do it daily.
If you want me to do this, then let's do this correctly. Let's have more than just one sample. Let's go back to the beginning of a different episode. I'm just going to pick one at random.
Hello, everybody.
No, stop practicing.
Are you telling me, Joe Souchere, that there are GLers sitting at home with pen and paper waiting for us to make a mistake?
Yes. May I have the governor of New York again, please? Kathy Hochul, who issued a heat warning the other day, and I've got interesting responses from the state of New York.
Kathy.
And I know that you need a moment to find that.
No, we're good.
All right.
This is not a natural hot weather stretch for us here in the state of New York, especially upstate. But we are going to be seeing temperatures at levels we have not seen in our lifetimes. And I want to update New Yorkers on what we're doing about this significant public health event. Right now, everywhere north of New York City is under a heat advisory, and it's only going to get worse. Starting today in the Genesee Valley and the Finger Lakes, and starting tomorrow, extreme heat will hit everywhere in the great state of New York. Now, what does this mean? It's a dangerous mix.
Just
high temperatures and extreme.
You're listening to continuing coverage of Operation Stay Cool on the Garage Logic Radio Network.
Joe, on yesterday's show, you started out with the warm weather warnings from the mayor of New York. Rookie looked up the hottest temps in Lake Placid. I thought you would cover just how hot it will become in the coming days, given that a life-threatening heat wave is on the way. Here's the weather for the coming days in Lake Placid, New York. Today, Friday, June 21, morning temp 58, high temp for today 71. This weekend is a real hold on to your butts kind of weekend with the warning of a heat wave and temps uncontrollably raging into areas that have never seen this before. Weekend low temps will be as high as 54 with an extra warning for Monday morning temp of 51. Weekend highs will be 70 on both Saturday and Sunday. This is a stretch of frightening temperatures. The only thing I'd worry about is hotels selling out with thousands of New Yorkers heading north to enjoy the lovely weather. Footnote, the highest temp I can see for Lake Placid in the next 10 days is a week from Sunday with a high temp of 81. Marshall. Here's a fellow writing us from Manhattan. Hail the Flashlight King. I am a town council member, and I also live in the city with the tallest buildings. I just came back from a long bike ride and listened to the podcast on my ride and heard you mention our New York governor's warning, read the heat. Well, I can attest to the fact that it is absolutely lovely out today. It didn't even break 90. Nice breeze off the river. Of course, all the news has been filled with doom and gloom about the abnormal weather and heat caused by climate change. I don't know where these people grew up, but summer gets hot. We live in a silly world. Keep up the great work. And this is from Don. Hail the Flashlight King.
Hail you.
Podcast June 20 and the opening bit about Governor Kathy Hochul's fear-mongering due to temperature. Joe, I'm a native of Syracuse. I've lived there a total of 28 years of my life in 2 different waves and went to school in Rochester and lived there 5 years and 2 more in Binghamton. In other words, just over half my life has been in upstate New York. I've been in Minnesota for 22 years. I recall having to sleep in my basement in the late 1960s and early 1970s for a few days each summer due to heat and humidity. In fact, the highest temp on June 19 occurred in 1995, the very last month I lived in Syracuse. Not to be a sense winner, but it has happened before and will happen again. In fact, I turned to the Syracuse website and the top story was not the heat, but the Boheim's Army basketball team would not be participating in some tournament this year. Sounds like weather is not the biggest concern on the minds of my central New York brethren. More nonsense, as always, from our field leaders. Cheers, Don in Lino Lakes. And finally, Eric, who writes, I was born and spent the majority of my 55 years in Minnesota. I have been living in the Adirondack Mountains of northern New York for the past 13 years. I enjoy testing myself. For example, I drive my truck as far as I can in the mud or snow before I have to switch to 4-wheel drive. And I don't turn on my home air conditioning until I have to. Was our recent heat wave hot? Yes. Did I turn on my air conditioner? No, it wasn't that bad. Governor Hochul was playing a bit fast and loose with the rhetoric regarding the dangerous temperatures. Take care. It's another really, really crystallized example of the left wants to bring us the hysteria of climate change. It's because it's how Western civilization will be destabilized. And 2, it's another example of just how thoroughly the political class does live on the third rail. And it doesn't occur to them that we find their musings BS. Like the guy in the Adirondack Mountains. I didn't turn on my air conditioner. It wasn't that bad. The lot of us live our lives, and we've often said this, we'd be much better off if we didn't have to hear these people on a daily basis. They have nothing to do with us. They have no idea how we live. They have no idea what we do.
Well, look at how she made it a major crisis for everyone. I didn't even turn my AC on.
While people in Manhattan are listening to us having a wonderful bike ride. Right. Yes, sir.
Can we establish something? The last email writer, did he mention his name?
Yeah.
And what about his age? That's what I meant to say, his age.
Well, you can do the math. We can put his age. We can put his age together.
Because I'm wondering if that will change.
He spent 55 years in Minnesota.
Okay,
and he's
that
lived
answers. That answers the question, Joe.
and
So
he's lived
up
in the
there.
Adirondacks for 13 years, so he's 68.
Does he think he's better than me? Because I turn on my air conditioner when it gets up to 65. That's the feeling I got. And when the roads are icy, I instantly put my truck in 4-wheel drive. Is he saying, are you saying, sir, that you're better than me because you like to be uncomfortable and you put your life in danger, sir? Is that what you're saying?
I think I speak for said sir by saying he doesn't like your tone.
I don't know why you're taking umbrage with an innocent email here.
It's my persecution
from
complex.
Eric.
I wouldn't. Don't get upset, Eric.
Right.
I'm just having fun with you.
Well, and let me finish this. And do the sense winds on the Minnesota flooding. Do you want 1867 when there was no farming for a year? The sense winds on the Minnesota flooding are out there. Here's from the Department of Natural Resources. I mean, it's so obvious that the heaviest floods known in the country occurred in 1824, 1825, and 1826. The last year rose 66 feet in height, and the whole country was completely drowned out. What is this now? A bit of ancient history is interesting. J.W. Bond, the historian, this is from the DNR. J.W. Bond, the historian who came to the Red River Valley in 1851 for the purpose of treating with Indians in the Red Lake Reservation, said they found the valley desolate and barren. Everything was drowned out by the inundations of the river, which had occurred for several successive years. In his book published in 1853, he says of this section, along the course of the river, both banks within the margin of the stream are covered with the thick growth of drowned-out willows, while further back on the prairie, fine large trees, majestic oaks and elms are in the same condition and now stand towering aloft like high, giant skeleton sentinels throwing out their dry, leafless limbs across the water as if to guard its passage. The guy could write.
Yeah.
Each tree is marked at the height of about 30 feet above the water by the heavy drift ice during the freshets. In some places, the timber merely skirts the river. At others, it extends further than the eye can penetrate, and no prairies being visible within miles. All is a desolate solitude of dead and dying skeleton trunks of leafless trees. No farming whatsoever is being done here on account of the annual floods in the valley for 3 years past. The waters have risen to the height of 31 and 33 feet above the low water mark, flooding all the country and inundating houses at this place, Pembina, or is it Pembina? Pembina, to the depth of 2 or 3 feet. The ground is destitute of grass with tall, rank weeds 3 and 4 feet high, abounding. The heaviest floods, then he goes on to say the heaviest floods were 1824, 1825, 1826. This produced such universal distress that many of the most wealthy and influential citizens left Selkirk in consequence and made an overland journey across the plains to St. Peter's and Galena, near which last place they settled. And I just thought that was interesting. And here's from the National Weather Service. Significant Minnesota floods start with the Great Flash Flood of 1867, the spring flooding of 1965, which I remember clearly, the 1987 Twin Cities superstorm, I remember that distinctly. The 1997 Red River and Minnesota River flooding of western Minnesota, and the 2007 southeastern Minnesota flooding. So it's been around. I did look up Cook, Minnesota, and some of the northern cities that are really having problems today, but the reporters for the reporters for those newspapers didn't provide sense winds. I think it would behoove you reporters to always keep in mind the sense winds because it provides great context to what you're covering. And you're covering significant flooding now in northeastern Minnesota. And the sense winds would be a delightful accompaniment to your stories.
Like you were saying in that beautifully written piece, a lot of the flooding that I'm seeing, especially, did you see the shots of I-90 down by Magnolia where
Yes.
I-90 is actually underwater?
Yes.
Well, that's prairie pothole country, and they've all been drained. So the drains just can't keep up with the rainfall, but that area would have been historically, naturally underwater. And the farmers have drained them.
I was walking into the building this morning and I said, hold up, wait a minute. Something ain't right. Back in the back parking lot, the city of Minneapolis was emptying the fire hydrant that sits inside of the Hubbard security gate.
Okay.
And I thought, is that due to, why would we be doing that on a
That
day
might
of,
just be regular maintenance.
because I thought that was odd timing considering the fact that we
I have a
And
quiz
then
for
were you
all of you.
impressed by the great parking spot that you got today?
I was.
I have a quiz for all of you.
Oh, I love games.
Oh,
Our wonderful United States. What is the national bird?
The eagle.
eagle.
Bald eagle.
We don't have a national bird.
Oh, trick question.
What's
And
the bald eagle?
I learned that today because the
Um.
Minnesota legislature has taken up a bipartisan effort to make the bald eagle the national bird. It's always been our symbol, but it's never been officially declared the national bird.
Well, me and Ben Franklin would prefer it would be the turkey.
Well, I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
A national bird has never been designated despite common misconception. It goes back to the fact that it was the eagle was chosen as the national symbol in 1782, said Ed Hahn. He's with the National Raptor Center in Wabasha. Having helped repopulate the once endangered species, they're now organizing the push in Congress to officially designate the bald eagle as America's bird. Did you know that? You didn't know that.
I
Did
did
not know that.
And
Until
remember,
today.
I'm the one that visited the Wabasha Eagle Center.
You were there,
And
weren't
they
you?
didn't even tell me that. That's where I did my rendition of Eagle's Wing.
That's right. And you held up a little puppet eagle as you did that.
I
Didn't
gotta
you?
find that. Yeah,
That was pretty good.
it was good.
So I just thought I'd add that because you learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design.
Oh, well, everybody's heard the bird.
I do lend my positivity to making the bald eagle, the bird of America.
I don't know
Joe,
how you disagree.
Have you
with
heard about the bird?
that. Yeah,
I have heard about the bird.
everybody has. Haven't
That
they?
was
Trashmen very underrated.
a big hit. Well, not really.
Properly rated.
They're properly rated.
Got it.
It was a
Yeah.
fun song.
I wrote liner notes for their box set.
Did you really?
What do you think of that?
I think that's
What
fantastic.
is a
I've been
liner
touched
note?
by greatness.
John, what is a liner?
There's, in the box sets, there's big booklets that are 70 pages long. And then they ask critics, et cetera, to write something.
You guys remember NASCAR Kelly?
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
Kelly was a good friend of ours. She remains a listener, still a good friend of ours. I remember when NASCAR Kelly was bringing her twins, her small children, to the state fair.
They're all grown up now.
It was
Joe.
an annual event at Kelly. She just sent me their graduation picture from Hill Murray High School.
Wow.
Yep.
oh my goodness.
Is she looking for a little cash from Uncle Joe?
I didn't have
I
an
still
address.
talk to Kelly. And
Yeah.
Kelly, I'm wondering, are you down in South Dakota for the big race this weekend or not? Talk to me, Kelly. Come on.